And this is part of a broader story, the rising tide of hardline right-wing nationalism around the world. Just yesterday, one of Britain's most prominent right-wing leaders, a man named Nigel Farage, who stoked anti-immigrant sentiments to win the referendum to have Britain leave the European Union, campaigned with Donald Trump in Mississippi. Farage has called for a bar on the children of legal immigrants from public schools and health services, has said women are, and I quote, worth less than men, and supports scrapping laws that prevent employers from discriminating based on race. That's who Donald Trump wants by his side when he is addressing an audience of American voters. And the grand godfather of this global brand of extreme nationalism is Russian President Vladimir Putin. And in fact, Farage regularly appears on Russian propaganda programs. Now he's standing on the same stage as the Republican nominee.
Former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton blames Brexit voters and their leader for her loss in last year's presidential election. One America's Christian Rose has more on the recent round of attacks by Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton continues her attempts to vindicate herself after losing last year's presidential election, this time by lashing out at Brexit voters and their leader, Nigel Farage. Farage was the head of the United Kingdom Independence Party, or UKIP, during the 2016 elections. In a BBC interview during the British leg of her What Happened book tour, Clinton accused Farage of, quote, the big lies, which according to her helped President Trump get elected.
But the amount of fabricated false information that your voters were given, but I'm very familiar with what the Leave side said because they transported a lot of that on behalf of Trump. You had, Farage campaigning for Trump and the like.
Clinton thus failed yet another time to admit her own responsibility for her loss, adding Brexit voters in the UK to the list of designated enemies, which also includes the Russians, WikiLeaks and news organizations in the former Yugoslavia. Hillary Clinton is submerging deeper and deeper into the cesspool of irrelevant conspiracy theories, claiming literally everyone was out to get her. However, Nigel Farage swiftly rebuked Clinton's latest round of attacks, reiterating her loss of the election is her own fault, which she's still in denial of almost 1 year since the election.
In her book, she blames the whole world, the Russians, the lies that were told in Brexit. Everything is the fault of other people. Nothing is to do with her. And actually, many American voters were turned off by her and turned off by her sense of entitlement. It was as if the presidency was meant to be hers.
Meanwhile, Clinton took a chance to promote her globalist agenda that pathetically failed in the US by attacking the UK's stance in ongoing Brexit negotiations. This after she falsely accused UKIP of meddling with US politics, which Farage pointed out is irrelevant.
As to the question, should we listen to Hillary Clinton, I would say we should no more listen to Hillary Clinton than we listened to Barack Obama during the referendum campaign telling us not to vote for Brexit.
In her extended rant against the UK, Clinton went on attempting to undermine bilateral ties between Britain and the US by mocking the discussed trade deal between the two countries. She alleged Britain is, quote, making a trade deal with someone who doesn't believe in trade.
We're working on a trade deal which will be a very, very big deal, very powerful deal, great for both countries. And I think we'll have that done very, very quickly.
Clinton's grievous insults and fake narratives against Russia and now Britain bear hazards to the Trump administration's efforts to improve America's foreign relations. Christian Rose, One American News.
While Hillary Clinton continues to play the blame game over her loss last year, some of her newest excuses, well, Brexit and a guy by the name of Nigel Farage.
The amount of fabricated false information that your voters were given by the Leave campaign. Well, I'm not as familiar with, but I'm very familiar with what the Leave side said, because they transported a lot of that on behalf of Trump. You had, Farage campaigning for Trump and the like. The big lie is a very potent tool.
Here to react, former UK Independence Party leader and Fox News contributor Nigel Farage. The big lie, Nigel, it was all you, it was all a lie, and it was all a conspiracy to defeat her.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a terrible person. I'm an unacceptable human being, as she said. I was only sorry she didn't call me deplorable. I would have enjoyed that. Isn't it interesting? I mean, she's going around the UK selling her book at £20 a copy. Clearly the Clintons haven't made enough money yet. And it's all about why she lost the election, and it would appear that Brexit, the phenomenon of Brexit, which spilled across to the USA, is the reason that she lost. And she's basically saying that I lied to the British electorate. And what she's doing here is not just defending her own position, but acting as the high priestess of the globalist movement. She wants to reverse Brexit. I tell you what, she's making a sad, sorry spectacle of herself.
Well, when she says the amount of fabricated false information, she wants to say #fake news, but that belongs to the other guy.
Well, that's right, it does. And the honest truth is that if you look at her record and her husband's record, be it on NAFTA, be it on China, be it on many other trade deals, they consistently told the American people these deals would be good for America, and they turned out not to be. And remember that had Hillary become president, she wanted America to join, as she described it, a hemispheric common market. Hillary sees the European Union as a prototype for a bigger form of global government, so she hates Brexit, she hates me, and she thinks it gave Trump the edge.
How much relevance does she have now? She's traveling the world blaming, a lot of people say she's blaming everyone else that she lost the election. How much relevance does she have?
Oh, yeah, I mean, none of this is her fault. I mean, she can't recognise the fact that her own sense of entitlement is what put off so many American voters. I don't think she's hugely relevant unless she's deciding perhaps to have another tilt at the presidency. Now, she denies that in public, but if she's not doing it, why is she going around the world making these big political arguments that she wants everything that happened in 2016 to be reversed?
She also famously said that she wanted a borderless world. I mean, isn't she the one that sort of, in front of, rich audiences will speak their language of globalism, but then try to go to the voters and hide it? That strikes me as a lie.
Well, her husband was terribly good at that. I mean, Bill often appeared as a populist at elections, and yet when he was elected, governed as a globalist. And exactly the same thing would happen with Hillary. When she's with her friends on Wall Street and the multinationals, she sings a very different song. I have to say, it is a sorry sight to see somebody who is incapable of recognising their own deficiencies. She's deep in denial, and I just think she ought to recognise she lost, it's over, move on.
All right, his name is Nigel Farage, also known as the Big Liar, according to what we just heard. Nigel, thank you very much for joining us today from LA.
And against Hillary Clinton, or are you not going to take sides at this early stage?
There's nothing on earth could persuade me ever to vote for Hillary Clinton.
You sure you don't want to think about that for a second?
No, absolutely not.
I mean,
she represents the political elite. It's almost as if she feels she has a sort of divine right to have that job.
Well, I was always told that it was a very good thing in life to be judged by your enemies. And if Mrs. Clinton is now my avowed, sworn enemy, I must be getting something right. Look, she represents so much that has gone wrong over the course of the last couple of decades. These political elites who work pretty much hand in glove with the giant multinational businesses, where frankly the relationships between money and politics are so blurred that in the minds of many people, frankly, it begins to look corrupt. She represents a kind of politics that has seen us, you in the States and us here, meddling endlessly in the Middle East, getting involved in military conflicts in situations about which we have very little knowledge, and frankly, we've made things, I think, quite a lot worse. And she represents a kind of privileged elite that
pretends an election.
House Republicans have been urging the Justice Department to look into a number of Clinton-related issues, including the Obama-era sale of Uranium One to a Russian company and the handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. Congressman Jim Jordan sounding frustrated that a special counsel has not been called already.
To actually get a special counsel. We know the Clinton campaign, the Democrat National Committee paid for, through the law firm, paid for the dossier. We know that happened. And it sure looks like the FBI was paying the author of that document. And it sure looks like a major political party was working with the federal government so that they could then get a warrant to spy on Americans associated with President Trump's campaign. That's what it looks like.
It looks like is not enough basis to appoint a special counsel.
All right. But the door is still left open, isn't it, Ben?
I mean, the door's still open, but I got to say, I'm with Sessions on this one. I mean, Sessions, I assume, has seen more evidence, or at least as much evidence as the members of Congress have. And he's the one who has to appoint the special counsel. And he's also the one who has to say, I'm so compromised that I have to appoint someone who is not me, right? The reason you appoint a special counsel, he's hired to do the job, right? We're paying him to do the job. The reason to appoint a special counsel is because the idea would be that he is too biased to investigate the issue that he is that he's looking at right now. I don't think that's right. And I think that he is correct. I mean, just putting on my lawyer hat here, the idea that you're suspicious of something does not mean.
But do the president's tweets that we just read, does it sort of make it look like the president is influencing his decision here?
Well, it makes it look like he's influencing his decision the other way, right? I mean, Sessions is not actually appointing a special counsel, and Trump obviously wants.
I wasn't indicating influencing either way, but does that make Sessions have to push back harder?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that if Sessions, I wouldn't want to challenge Sessions' honesty on this and feel like, okay, well, Trump tweeted something, therefore Sessions went ahead and did it. I mean, we've seen Sessions buck him a few times already.
Well, Congressman Gowdy expressed some of the concerns I have regarding the dossier and the role that it played in the FBI investigation, moving around the intelligence community as well, and also what role it potentially had in the special counsel investigation as well. So I have concerns over that. I'd like to get some answers on that fact. And I would also just raise one thing. Clearly, Attorney General Sessions' honesty came under attack in the hearing yesterday. It was something that he is very deeply offended by, clearly by the written statement, but also his opening statement that he made. And I would just raise the fact that you have someone like Senator Claire McCaskill who said, in my 10 years of being on the Armed Services Committee, I would never meet with the Russian ambassador. Meanwhile, rewind a couple of years prior in her own tweets saying off to meet with the Russian ambassador, attended a dinner at the Russian ambassador's residence, paid for by a foundation that is undisclosed. So I would just raise the fact that when you are in these positions, on these committees, you have a lot of different meetings that perhaps you forget about, Senator McCaskill.
Here's what I would like to know. Why is it, how is it that we were very concerned about Russia prior to the Obama administration? There were numerous pieces. I remember the Council on Foreign Relations having a big cover piece by Yulia Tymoshenko from the Ukraine, who was warning everybody about Putin's territorial ambitions and about what he was doing with Iraq. And the Bush administration was very aware of that. Condoleezza Rice was a Russian scholar. And then all of a sudden you switch and the Russians are no longer a problem anymore? Is that because they donated $146 million to the Clinton Foundation? And, you know, I mean,
so you have to ask
if they're that, you know,
right?
they have deep pockets like that, they're willing to give to the foundation.
Trish, it's such a good point. I mean, if you have real justice in the country, you have to ask those questions because you're asking every other Russia question times multi-investigations.
And first, by the way, it's incompetence on the part of the Obama administration to have even allowed the Secretary of State to have accepted money to her foundation. And then you fast forward to the Uranium One deal, and I guess I would just ask, how the heck did Eric Holder not know that the FBI, his own FBI, was pursuing an investigation into Vladimir Putin's attempts to gain an outsized influence in the atomic energy sector?
And Ben, it would have been the president's decision, but you had those agencies, those CFIUS agencies looking into this, and how did it get beyond those 9 agencies? I have a quick question for you, though. And Judge Napolitano, our Fox News contributor and senior judicial analyst here at Fox News, and I have been talking about this for days about how if you appoint a special counsel, how does it change politically the DOJ? Are you undercutting it? And the judge says, yeah, you're weakening that apparatus if you continue to do this. What you're saying is outside the people's vote, because you vote for the people who have the jobs right now.